Hello, you're watching DD India and I'm Preeti presenting Express News. Let's take a look at the national updates first. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi held a public rally in Chhattisgarh's Bastar district on Monday. During the rally in Bastar, Prime Minister Narendra Modi said that people of Chhattisgarh have not only formed the BJP government in the state, but have also strengthened the foundation of a developed India. Prime Minister Modi emphasized that after many decades, the country has seen a stable and strong government, adding that BJP government's biggest priority is the welfare of the poor. Prime Minister Modi also kicked off BJP's election campaign in the western state of Maharashtra with a public meeting in Chandrapur district. BJP National President JP Nadda addressed a public meeting in Uttar Pradesh's Rampur district on Monday. Chief Minister of Uttar Pradesh, Yogi Adityanath, held a public meeting in Maharashtra's Wardha district on Monday, exhibiting confidence that BJP will return to power in the upcoming parliamentary elections. Congress leader Rahul Gandhi held two rallies in Madhya Pradesh's Mandla and Shahdol districts on Monday. Congress leader Sachin Pilot addressed various public rallies in North Indian state of Rajasthan on Monday. He visited Sikar, Jhunjhunu, Jaipur rural and Alwar districts. As election campaign intensifies in southern state of Kerala, rift within India alliance has been exposed with accusations flying between Left Democratic Front and United Democratic Front leaders. Aam Aadmi Party launched its campaign for the 2024 parliamentary elections with the theme Jail Ka Jawab Vote Se. Aam Aadmi Party's national leader and Delhi government minister Atishi Marlena marked her party's election campaign in the Indian state of Assam on Monday. The deadline for withdrawal of nomination papers for the second phase of general elections closed on Monday. The Election Commission of India posted an awareness video on social media platform X as part of its election-related activities in the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir. The Delhi Rouse Avenue Court on Monday dismissed interim bail application of Bharat Rashtra Samiti MLC K. Kavita in the excise policy-linked money laundering case. The Supreme Court of India declined Aam Aadmi Party MP Sanjay Singh's plea in a defamation case filed by Gujarat University. The Greek Chief of Armed Forces is in India on a 4-day visit. General Dimitrios Kopis was given a tri-service guard of honor in Delhi on Monday. The Greek general also laid wreath at National War Memorial in memory of the martyred soldiers and met the Indian Chief of Defence Staff, the Navy Chief, Air Force Chief and Army Vice Chief. The Indian Army held a tri-service conference called Parivartan Chintan in New Delhi on Monday. The conference aims to propel jointness and integration efforts amongst the armed forces. 2 persons were arrested by the Delhi police for claiming to carry a nuclear bomb during frisking at Delhi's Indira Gandhi International Airport. India's naval transmitting station commemorated its 55th anniversary in Visakhapatnam on Sunday. The event included various activities, including interdepartmental sports competition. In business updates, domestic benchmark indices hit a fresh closing peak on Monday, aided by oil and gas, automobile and financial stocks. BSE Sensex jumped 494 points to settle at a new record high of 74,742. During the day, 50-share index Nifty hit an all-time high of 22,697 before settling at a record 22,666, up by 152 points. The Indian rupee settled on a flat note at 83.31 against the US dollar on Monday. Gold future maturing on 5th June stood at 71,000 rupees per 10 grams on Multi-Commodity Exchange of India Limited. Silver futures maturing on 3rd May stood at 81,852 rupees per kilogram on the MCX. Asian markets remained subdued on Monday while investors monitored the stability of the dollar amid speculation about potential rate cuts by the U.S. Federal Reserve following a strong jobs report. Oil prices slid more than $1 per barrel on Monday, with Brent falling below $90 as Middle East tensions eased after Israel withdrew more soldiers from southern Gaza. Egypt's annual urban consumer price inflation rate slowed to a lower than expected 33.3% in March from 35.7% in February. Month on month, prices rose by 1% in March, down from 11.4% in February. A Brazilian Supreme Court justice has opened an inquiry into Elon Musk after he announced intentions to reactivate accounts on social media platform X, defying a court's order to block them. Australia's major supermarkets could face fine of up to $6.6 million if suppliers and growers are not treated fairly, as the government proposes to make a voluntary grocery code of conduct mandatory. Let's take a look at international updates now. Efforts are underway in Cairo for a truce in the Gaza conflict. Israeli Foreign Minister Israel Katz described the Cairo talks as the closest the sides have come to a deal since the November truce, under which Hamas freed dozens of hostages. Hamas officials said on Monday that no progress was made at the new round of ceasefire talks in Cairo, also attended by delegations from Qatar, US and Israel. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said that Israel would not agree to a ceasefire until the hostages held in Gaza are released. Trucks carrying humanitarian aid entered Gaza on Monday through the Rafah crossing. Israeli officials have said that they have increased aid access to Gaza and are not responsible for delays. Israel on Sunday withdrew more soldiers from southern Gaza, leaving just one brigade in the area. Israeli Defense Minister Yoav Gallant said that the troops were leaving Gaza to prepare for their follow-up missions. U.S. interpreted the Israeli military's troop reduction in southern Gaza Strip as rest and refit and not necessarily indicating new operations for these troops. Russia on Monday demanded world leaders to respond to Ukraine's alleged attack on Zaporizhzhia nuclear power station, calling it nuclear terrorism. Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov called the attack a terrorist activity and termed it a dangerous provocation. He has also warned Kyiv of negative consequences. Russia on Monday launched more than 24 attack drones in an overnight attack on Ukraine, damaging critical infrastructure in the central Zhytomyr region. 17 out of 24 Russian drones were downed by Ukraine, and a Russia-launched guided air missile was also destroyed. At least 94 people have died after a ferry sank off the north coast of Mozambique. Around 130 people on board. Out of them, 5 have been rescued, while over 24 are missing. Australian lawmaker Andrew Wallace held a meeting with Taiwan's President Tsai Ing-wen at the Presidential Palace in Taiwan on Monday. Wallace raised the subject of security cooperation with President Tsai, stating that both Australia and Taiwan have a vested interest in maintaining regional stability. Philippines President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. said that his country will continue dialogue with China to ease tensions in the South China Sea. Japan, United States, Australia and Philippines held a one-day joint maritime exercise in the South China Sea on Sunday. U.S. President Joe Biden will host Japanese Prime Minister Fumio Kishida in Washington this week to discuss economic cooperation and their mutual relationship. Following the Biden-Kishida meeting, a trilateral summit between U.S., Japan and the Philippines will focus on South China Sea issues, economic relations and the Indo-Pacific. The U.S., UK and Australia are set to begin talks on the expansion of AUKUS Security Pact, with Washington advocating for Japan's involvement as a countermeasure against China. Former U.S. President Donald Trump has, according to his campaign, raised more than $50 million in one night at a Florida fundraiser. Indian Met Department predicted light to moderate rainfall accompanied by thunderstorms and hailstorms over east, central and peninsular India for the next 4 days. A landslide halted the movement of vehicles on a national highway in India's Jammu and Kashmir on Sunday night, leaving the traffic suspended overnight. It was open to traffic after Border Roads Organization personnel removed the debris from the highway. The European Court of Human Rights in Strasbourg, France, will hand out rulings on 3 separate climate cases where applicants have argued that government inaction on climate change violates the human rights. It was the first case heard on March 2023 when thousands of elderly Swiss women argued that their government's woefully inadequate efforts to fight global warming violate their human rights. Greece raised its wildfire alert level to high risk after dozens of blazes broke out on Sunday. The fire spread across the mountainous forest east of the seaside town of Lerapetra, forcing authorities to order the precautionary evacuation of villages in the area. Storm Kathleen made its way through the British Isles on Sunday, bringing in huge waves that crashed through the streets, hitting motorists, disrupting traffic across the island. The island's Met Office had issued a yellow warning for heavy rains and localized flooding for Monday and Tuesday. Some of the worst floods in decades have hit a string of Russian regions in the Ural Mountains and Siberia, alongside parts of neighboring Kazakhstan in the recent days. Floodwaters triggered by melting snow have hit a large area stretching from Russia's Ural Mountains to the border area with Kazakhstan, flooding at least 10,000 homes and forcing thousands of people to flee with just their pets and a few belongings. More than 6,100 people have already been evacuated from the city of 230,000, according to local authorities. 15 of 40 schools have also been flooded. In a captivating display, Italy's iconic Mount Etna blew stunning volcanic vortex rings. Now, this natural phenomena, near-perfect circles of gas emitted from the volcano under the specific conditions, left onlookers spellbound with their mesmerizing beauty. Eclipse enthusiasts who traveled to Texas to witness the solar eclipse expressed concerns that bad weather could ruin the astronomical spectacle. Cloudy skies predicted for Monday could spell disappointment for anyone hoping to catch a glimpse of the continent's first total solar eclipse since 2017. Stargazers across the United States are excited for the upcoming total solar eclipse. Among them is an eclipse fanatic who chased 20 total solar eclipses around the world. Leticia Ferrer, a 63-year-old woman living in North Texas, traveled to Mexico in 1991 to see her first total solar eclipse. Since then, she traveled to all the 7 continents and 6 oceans to see the 20 total solar eclipses. The seaside city of Mazatlan in Mexico was witnessing a hive of activity over the weekend as it geared up for the eclipse, an event that has attracted both locals and tourists alike to the shorelines and beyond. 200,000 tourists visited Asia's largest tulip garden in Kashmir within 2 weeks. The garden opened for tourists in late March and will go on till the last week of April after a month-long successful show. Through binoculars, ornithologist John Wopsy spies flamingos and pelicans that pause along their migration routes on a hook of protected land on Albania's southern coast, but he fears the sight may soon end. The flamingo-filled site will soon end if the plan to build a tourist resort by Jat Kashna in the area near the town of Vlora, which is loved by locals for its quiet pine forest, olive trees and walking trails, goes through. South Korea's defense ministry said on Monday that the country's second domestically made spy satellite was successfully put into the orbit. The satellite was launched from an American space center on a SpaceX Falcon 9 rocket. After two earlier attempts ended in rocket crashes, Pyongyang said in November last year that it used its own launch vehicle to place the reconnaissance satellite in orbit. North Korea has previously vowed to launch 3 new spy satellites in 2024. After months of relentless determination and unwavering commitment, Britain Russ Cook successfully completed his monumental journey across Africa. Over 352 days, he traversed 16,000 kilometers through 16 countries along Africa's west coast, becoming the first person to run the length of the entire continent. Artists based in the UAE have transformed their city into a canvas, injecting life and color onto their surroundings through the Abu Dhabi Canvas Initiative. The murals were painted at and around bus stops in various parts of the city, with artists dedicating upwards of 800 hours in creating their pieces, aiming to support local talent while adorning the city with murals. A float event in the Inuyama Festival is recognized on UNESCO's Intangible Cultural Heritage list. Its main attraction is 13 magnificent floats with mechanized puppet dolls that entertain spectators. The 8-meter-high floats paraded through the street, accompanied with music played by traditional Japanese flutes and drums. Cambodian farmers and their speedy oxen from across the country took part in an annual ox cart race heralding the Khmer New Year and the rice harvesting season, which kicks off mid-April. The traditional race, which organizers say has a centuries-old tradition, was revived more than a decade ago, and the ox carts were traditionally used for festive occasions. Numerous historical sites nationwide have significantly deteriorated over decades. This issue was addressed in the draft of the National Target Program on Cultural Renaissance and Human Development 2025-2030 in Vietnam. The program aims to restore and preserve 95% of the special national relics and approximately 70% of national relics by 2030. However, achieving this goal presents a considerable challenge. Artists from the Asian subcontinent converged at Nepal's Lalitpur town to participate in the International Tattoo Convention. Hundreds of tattoo artists inked their creativity on visitors and tourists and showcased different designs inspired by aesthetic elements. Indian filmmaker Ram Gopal Verma introduced an innovative concept named Your Film, in which the audience has complete control over the film's outcome. The actor, director, cinematographer and other technicians of the film will be all chosen by the audience itself using an interactive voting method on a dedicated website. In a much-awaited moment for fans of Telugu cinema, the teaser for Allu Arjun's upcoming film Pushpa 2, The Rule, has been unveiled today, sending ripples of excitement across social media platforms. Singer and rapper Jelly Roll scored a hat-trick at the Country Music Television Awards, beating traditional country artists Cody Johnson and Lenny Wilson to the top spot after 2 earlier wins. Tennessee-born Jelly Roll, whose real name is Jason Bradley DeFord, took home the show's most prestigious award, that is Video of the Year, for his song and its accompanying music video, Need a Favor. A Peruvian man has claimed he chanced upon the cave in Peru's remote Nazca region that contained hundreds of pre-Hispanic artifacts, including human bodies with elongated heads and what appeared to be only 3 fingers on each hand. The plateau is famous for the Nazca lines, incisions on the desert floor forming birds and other animals visible from the air. The 8-day Ho Chi Minh's International Film Festival has opened in the southern metropolis. It features 3 main competition categories that are Southeast Asian films, debut films and short films. The screenings of nearly 900 films from various countries is to take place in the festival, offering a variety of sideline activities. Audience can experience outdoor film screenings at Cine Park and engage with directors and actors. In sports, Polish tennis player Hubert Hurkacz claimed the first clay court title of his career in the summit clash of the Estoril Open. Hurkacz defeated Spain's Pedro Martinez 6-3, 6-4. Danielle Collins beat Russia's Daria Kasatkina 6-2, 6-1 to win the Charleston Open. Collins made it back-to-back tournament wins following last week's Miami Open success. Liverpool squandered the opportunity to return to the top of the Premier League as they were held to a draw in another Old Trafford thriller with Manchester United. Arsenal maintained their pursuit of a first Premier League title for 20 years as they moved top of the table with an impressive away victory over Brighton. Fenerbahce's players walked off the pitch after 1 minute of Sunday's Turkish Super Cup match against Galatasaray, forcing the game to be abandoned and conceding the trophy. Young Indian-American Akshay Bhatia won Texas Open, defeating Denny McCarthy in a sudden death playoff at the end of a dramatic final round of the PGA Tour's Texas Open in San Antonio. Dean Burmester of South Africa saved par at the second playoff hole to defeat Sergio Garcia of Spain, win LIV Golf Miami for his first LIV victory at the Trump National Doral. Reigning world champion Netherlands Mathieu van der Poel squashed home solo to a second successive victory in the fastest ever edition of Paris-Roubaix. He becomes the first rider in 11 years to clinch the title. Yash Thakur became the first bowler to take 5 wickets in the IPL this season as Lucknow Super Giants defeated Gujarat Titans by 33 runs in the Indian Premier League. The Wales women's rugby team is trailing a new concussion tracking technology to better follow and manage symptoms. The new technology has been added to Vodafone's Pair Connect platform. And with that, we end this edition of Express News. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.